Well, good morning, everybody. I'm just going to hang on 1 or 2 minutes. I know how some people can struggle with GoToWebinar and have to download things and that sort of stuff. So I'll just give them a couple of minutes just to get to grips, and then we'll get cracking. Okay, so let's get started. Don't want to keep you guys too long today. So a warm welcome to another HostCon webinar. The subjects that we're covering today have been driven by the current pandemic, which looks like it's going to be around for a while. As usual, if you've got any questions, please just submit them through GoToWebinar and I'll try and address them all at the end of the presentation. So in terms of our agenda today, I'm just going to cover off the impact of the lockdown as we see it and the home working challenges. Do some demonstration of some home working security, talk a little bit about home working technology, take a look at digital assistants, and then I'll do a demo of a voice bot, and then a little summary after that. So companies were forced, or a lot of companies were forced to jump into home working very quickly, often without the time, to do a comprehensive review of the technology options available to them. And some issues possibly are still yet to be resolved. Supporting home workers can be time consuming compared to when everyone is in a room together. This can be challenging and test the patience of even the most patient of technical support engineers. With potentially a big chunk of your staff furloughed or reduced numbers due to social distancing measures, you might be struggling to service your client base. And whilst the lockdown has been eased in a few industries now, any densely populated offices, such as contact centres, are likely to stay closed for some time, possibly until there's a vaccine, with home working being the new normal. And actually on that, yesterday I heard that the Twitter have now offered for all of their employees to work from home permanently if they wish to. And I suspect that that's going to be the first of many. I think we'll be seeing a lot more of that coming up. So in terms of home working success factors, it's essential that the rollout of any home working solution requires little or no setup, certainly with no technical expertise required. Asking home workers to put settings into a soft phone, for example, is a no-no, both from a likely success and security perspective. The solution needs to be simple and intuitive, with only the most basic of training required. Administrators should be able to centrally manage staff settings without the need to remotely access staff PCs. And staff visibility, ideally, should be the same regardless of whether they are in the office or at home. So the home working security options. So we've got sort of standard IP address filtering, which is a standard way of securing public facing service by allowing specified IP addresses through a firewall known as whitelisting. This doesn't work well with most home working environments, however, where the home broadband circuits have dynamic IP addresses which are changing on a regular basis. Then we've got VPNs and web application firewalls, which I'll cover off in a bit more detail shortly. And then finally, we've got hardened web servers. So HostCon are a PCI DSS Level 1 service provider, and all of our servers are monitored constantly with staff immediately alerted to any security threats. We're also penetration tested twice a year in order to stay PCI compliant, which can cost tens of thousands of pounds per test before even any remedial costs are considered, if required. So traditional VPN setup will look something like this. It can be pretty complicated and time consuming, particularly for setting up, particularly if doing remotely, both from a setup and support perspective. If you do require two-factor authentication, it's likely to be an additional bolt-on module, which can further complicate the setup. Depending on the maker firewall or the vendor, two-factor authentication options can also be limited and consequently expensive. The encryption adds latency, which can cause real issues when it comes to real-time applications such as voice and video. And VPN appliances, once discovered, are typically targeted by distributed denial of service attacks by hackers. A VPN effectively extends your corporate LAN to the home worker's home. So if the home worker picks up some malware, for example, there is a danger that this can be passed to the corporate LAN, which is obviously not a good thing either. So a better alternative for home working security, from our perspective, we use a product called Cloudflare Access, which is an alternative to traditional VPNs. It inherently supports two and multi-factor authentication, which can be customized with an authentication session duration of anything from 15 minutes upwards. So if you only wanted your agents to have to authenticate once per day or once a week or once a month, then you can set this up. It's a web application firewall, which offers a greater degree of flexibility than a traditional VPN. You can whitelist IP addresses as per a standard firewall, but you can also manage access to internal applications on a per user, per application basis. So you can customize down to path, browser, domain, user, agent, device. You can block IPs by country, and all access through Cloudflare is logged and auditable through a portal. Another advantage is that the home worker doesn't have to download anything to their PC. All they do is just visit the same website, but via a proxy Cloudflare URL. The Cloudflare distributed network has been configured to be extremely efficient through accelerators and caching. Further information can be found on their website if you'd like to know more detail about that stuff. Using integrated WebRTC-based phones with complex passwords means that there's no separate soft phone for agents to try and download and configure. No need to email sensitive registration credentials, and the calls are all encrypted end to end. So I'll give you a quick Cloudflare demo now, and I'm going to be using two-factor authentication using email. So it's going to pop onto Cloudflare. So instead of going to my standard contact center URL, I'm just going to go to one via a Cloudflare proxy. So I'm just saying I'm going to put my email address in here, send me a code, and then that gives you the 6-digit authentication code. So if I just go to my email, pick up that code, which has just come in, and then if I revert back to the, oops, sorry, hang on. So yeah, I just pop that in here, sign in, and then it takes me back to where I would have been had I been firewalled through the standard access. And there we go, straight into the contact center administration page there. So pretty straightforward, two-factor authentication, and obviously, you know, this could be for any home worker with on any dynamic IP address. So that's that. So moving on. So moving on to yeah, home working contact center products. So Hostcom have written a number of contact center modules that are now available as bolt-on extras to our standard dialer or contact center service that aid home working both in terms of productivity and visibility. A few of which I'll show you right now. So we've got our dashboard here. Okay, so first one I'm going to show you is a group performance live report. So this can offer a live view of or real-time view of your contact center. Obviously, this is our demo server. There's no activity on here today other than me. So what we can also do is use it for historical purposes as well. So what I'm going to do is just click on history, do a bit of a catch-all here on the date, run a history report, and this will give you an idea of what it looks like in a live environment as well. So we can see we've got contact center totals, we've got campaign totals, and we can have user groups as well. So if you've got a bunch of different user groups, perhaps you've got a supervisor that's only responsible for a certain set of agents, and you only want them to have access to their relevant data, then you can logically separate them out with user groups using this report, so they'd only see relevant data. Okay, so that's pretty much what it looks like in real time as well. So that's a group performance live report. And again, these agents could be anywhere in the world, and we do have clients with agents all over the world. So back to the dashboard, we've got a Wallboard live report, which is more like a traditional live tiled report. So again, it's highly customizable. This is obviously, there's no history option on this one because this is a live snapshot of what's going on in your contact center right now. But you can go into here and you can choose which tiles are displayed, which ones aren't. You can change colors, fonts, sizes, etc., etc. And you can create a profile that you like and just apply that profile to your report if you want to. So pretty useful stuff. And then you can also choose, which campaigns are included, which ones are excluded, which teams are included and excluded. And a particular useful setting is, for example, we have a lot of clients who do sort of utility sales on our behalf, and obviously some of their sales statuses equate to double or even triple sales. So you can apply those, you can set up those statuses in here so that the sales figures tally correctly. So that's another useful one. Same applies to the previous report, by the way, in terms of how highly configurable it is. Okay, so that's a couple of visibility reports or aids, if you like. We've got a scheduled tasks module. So this is typically used for scheduling, automatically scheduling different types of reports. So you can have them to be, different frequency of reports, hourly, nightly, weekly, whatever, and you can choose the criteria on which you're reporting. But another useful one that we've just created recently is the bulk lead move module. So this was created for this was created for a client where they're feeding web leads into the dialer through the API, and then so it goes into a sort of hot list, if you like, which their sort of better agents will be working from, and then they wanted it to automatically move those leads into a sort of a medium hot list, if you like, after 5 days, and then they wanted it to move it into a cooler list, if you like, after 16 days, which obviously a different set of agents were working from. So all of that sort of stuff can be automated here, and you just choose the time at which it moves the leads. You can choose the frequency of it, and then there's a whole bunch of filters as well. So you can filter based on the status of the lead or the flag. So obviously there could be multiple statuses that are classed as customer contact leads or no contact leads. So you can just move one type or the other. So that could be a whole bunch of statuses, or just by user or campaign, etc. So there's a whole bunch of filters that you can really disseminate your data down to that you want to have moved automatically. And this could also be used for resting data. So for example, you might want to work this data for a couple of days, rest it for a couple of days, and then move it back into a live list again and start working it again. So it's particularly useful for that kind of thing as well. So that's the task scheduler. And then another one I'll show you is the interaction analytics. So the reason it's called interaction analytics rather than call analytics is because it can also apply to live chat and chatbot transcripts as well as the call recordings. So it combines with natural language analytics, making it possible to get faster and more accurate insights to train your agents and make sure they're complying with legislation. It can search for keywords or terms which the clients themselves can define in a portal. There's also an inbuilt library of profanities which you can sort of activate or not, so they can be searched for in the call recordings. And also sentiment analysis can be applied to provide an overall score, which would either be a sort of positive or negative score. It can also detect or redact credit card details for PCI compliance purposes. So this can massively reduce the amount of time that QA staff need to analyze their interactions. So you can see here, it's all nicely color coded. You've got the red for profanities, the green for keywords or terms, and then the blue where it's redacted credit card details. And you can see where you've got the call transcript below. Yeah, okay. So obviously you can filter for what calls are actually sent for analysis in the first place, and that's typically going to be by call duration or call outcome code or campaign or even user. So we can really, again, filter which calls are analyzed. And then again, once you've got those calls analyzed, you can really filter on what ones you search on. So you can search on minimum or maximum date or specific dates or call durations, or you can search for specific phone numbers or specific lead IDs, or again, specific call statuses. So probably sales or sales or complaints are going to be the two most commonly used ones. So yeah, another very useful application. Okay, so back to the presentation. So yeah, just to cover off, obviously we've got the cloud predictive dialer, we've got the omni-channel contact center, which also takes into account social media integration, chatbots, messaging, voice bots, and yeah, that's pretty much what I've just shown you there. So a case study. We had a large-scale contact center rolled out very quickly and securely soon after the lockdown. One of our clients had to close down their call center. So we immediately did some testing with a number of device endpoints and then rolled out a big 200-seat contact center in the first industry. They were calling out on behalf of major utility companies. I say it was ready in 3 days from order, and the agents were able to use iPads, Android tablets, WebRTC phones, as well as your standard laptops and PCs, all over home broadband circuits with dynamic IP addresses. So we were using technologies like fail to ban to prevent sustained hack attempts. And what we actually found was that, or what they found was that sales productivity has actually increased. Although a captive audience has probably played a part in this, agents are able to work, much more safely and flexibly, whilst supervisors have as much visibility as if they were in the office. And obviously, this still includes the ability to do things like whisper coach. So the client has actually calculated that if they were to close their 2 sites down, which is a real possibility, they could save over 500K over 3 years. So food for thought. So when it comes to evaluating business communication options, what we'll find is, I guess, call center agents may not be tech savvy. So it's essential that you give them as little to do as possible in order to get them up and running. Any hurdles, and they will quickly give up, and remote support can be problematic. And that's probably why something like Zoom is so popular at the moment, for exactly these reasons. It's very intuitive and very easy and quick to set up. Ideally, whatever you opt for should cover off all functionality staff are ever going to need. What you don't want is for staff to have to log into multiple portals and skip between screens if possible. Separate applications may also need API development for workflow integration, which can be costly. And if any of the applications are swapped out or updated, further remedial development may be required. Integration, whatever you opt for, may need to be able to integrate by trunking to existing systems, enabling you to point existing phone numbers and DDIs to the new platform. Replicating internal extension numbers can also be helpful. Chat and chatbots are fantastic ways of serving clients whilst staff numbers are low. Any application should allow for this. Choosing an application that also allows for widespread integrations with social media platforms and Zoom or video platforms and reporting tools such as Microsoft Power BI is also prudent. To summarize, this is a good criteria by which home working solutions can be evaluated. Hostcom regularly monitor the market. We're always looking for good products, and we've arrived at a product called Bittrex 24, which we're in the process of migrating to ourselves in-house, and we can now offer it as a service. And it delivers all of the previously described criteria and more. So it looks like this, and it offers colleague presence. So you've got a directory of colleagues and you're able to see their presence in real time. You can click on a colleague and then either send them a chat message, voice or video call them. In addition to individual chats, you can also set up group chats or threads. Probably if you're used to using Slack and things like group chat applications like that, you're used to that sort of thing. It's got shared drives, so you can easily share large documents between colleagues. Gantt, Kanban, time tracking, workload planning, external users are more supported in the tasks and projects module, as well as a shared calendar. So, and accounts can be set up in a few minutes, and existing system extensions numbers can be replicated. So say we're already using it for CRM at the moment. It's very intuitive, and we're in the process of migrating over for our internal comms as well. So, digital assistants. So why not bolster your customer service with a digital assistant? They don't need a lunch break, tea break, or sleep, and so can service multiple clients simultaneously 24 hours, 7 days a week. Open up the number of ways your clients can receive service from you so they can choose their preferred channel. The capability of bots is impressive with numerous applications if programmed correctly. Typically, companies will dip their toes in the water by creating a bot that answers their frequently asked questions to relieve staff of monotonous tasks, but they can be used for so much more. An example is a screenshot here of a bot that helps out with boiler error codes. Users can enter their boiler error code. If it could apply to more than one manufacturer, the bot will ask the user to confirm which one they own. It will then inform users if they can self-fix their boiler, and if so, will display instructional videos to assist. If the issue requires an engineering visit, the bot can integrate with digital appointment booking systems, allowing engineering appointment bookings with no human intervention required prior to the visit. As Hostcom is a PCI DSS Level 1 service provider, we can host a bot in our PCI environment, and it can take PCI DSS credit card payments as well, again with no human intervention. Often bots are used to front a live chat platform and are integrated with them, so they can hand over to a live agent if they're struggling. This could be in the form of a traffic light system. Bot conversations are analysed for positive and negative sentiment, and if the conversation is deemed negative, live agents can be alerted to this, at which point they can view the chatbot transcript and then take over the chat if necessary. Using digital services can generate valuable data as well, which I'll go into a little later. So there are already millions of IVRs deployed. People are used to dealing with them. big improvements in automatic speech recognition and text-to-speech now make digital voice assistants really effective. The market appears to be narrowing down to the big four, in our opinion: IBM, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. We've tested all of them and found Google to be the best. The interfaces have also improved massively, and allowing non-technical staff to quickly program their own digital assistants. This also has the effect of bringing the cost of developing down. Automation. So bots can easily be connected to databases and can therefore read out and read anything stored in them. This is useful for things like greeting people personally by looking up their caller ID, authenticating them via a PIN number, confirming account balances, and much, much more. Bots can transfer calls by both DTMF or voice to live call center agents. And of course, you can create time-based rules so they can offer or don't offer these options outside of working hours. I'll be demonstrating a payment voice bot shortly. A voice bot can send webhooks as well, which are typically used to trigger workflow in CRMs. So they could also automatically send emails and SMSs as examples. They can integrate with calendar systems and therefore booking systems. And you're probably already familiar with using Siri to control your music, heating, or lights at home. So also known as the Internet of Things. So they're useful for all of that sort of stuff. So examples of bot applications. So providing sales and technical support would be a fairly easy start, no-brainer. If the bot is pushed out to social media, it can capture leads. An excellent use for a bot at the moment could be to deal with COVID-related FAQs. A bot can be set up as an outbound or an inbound contact center agent. So inbound may be used for support purposes, outbound may be used for marketing or service delivery applications. For example, you could use a bot to confirm the following day's appointments. It could pull specific appointment time information from the database and read it out during the call. If the callee still can make the appointment, then this can be confirmed in the form of triggering or sending a confirmation email or SMS as examples. If the callee can't make the appointment, then the bot could transfer the call to a live agent during office hours, or integrate with the booking system and reschedule the appointment without any human intervention. So you're probably seeing a pattern here: chatbots, voice bots, same capability, different media, that's all. So I've already touched on the boiler self-diagnosis. However, do bear in mind that this can be done through chat or voice. So video self-help links could be sent via SMS or email if this were done over voice. So as I said earlier, you also collect a lot of data as a spin-off of using digital assistants, and it's all recorded in the chat and voice transcripts. You can see what people are saying and improve future transactions. Also, as an example, you can see times and methods by which your clients like to contact you, so you can tailor your services for the individual clients. Bot development is ongoing, and so all of this data can be used to improve bot and user experience. You can pick up customer sentiment via real-time experience management, which can be used to improve the service by using the traffic light process. So amber alert would alert a live agent they may need to intervene. A red alert would automatically hand over to a live agent. If a client or a prospect had partially completed a web form, you could contact that person via the preferred method as an example. And based on previous transactions, you can predict future events. So the more data you collect, the more accurate and versatile the bot is likely to be. So I'm going to move on now to a debt collection voice bot. Okay, now this obviously doesn't make for great graphics because it's all done over a phone, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a phone call from my mobile number. Okay, now obviously once I'm on this call, I won't be able to commentate because I'm on a one-to-one call with a bot that's listening out for my voice. So a couple of things I'd like you to note is that it's going to recognize my caller ID, my mobile phone number, and it's going to greet me personally by name. Yeah, so that's one thing, but we'll get cracking on that now, and hopefully I'll put it on speaker and you'll be able to hear. Now, one other thing is that we've got the payment taking hooked up to a payment application. I'm going to show you that now, just so that you can. So it's called Stripe. So we can see that the last payment taken on Stripe was this morning at 9:20. Okay, so I'm going to log in and hopefully we'll see that a new payment coming in real time. So oops.
In order to proceed, I'll need to take your 6-digit PIN number from you. Throughout your conversation with us, you may enter 1 for yes, 2 for no. You may also use speech. Are you happy to proceed?
Yes.
Thank you, Nick. In order to proceed, we are going to have to identify you. Please enter your 6-digit security code. Thank you, Nick. To check your balance, press 1. To change your 6-digit passcode, press 2. To speak to one of our agents, press 3. To make a payment on your account, press 4. Thank you. You have a balance of £83.00. The payment outstanding on your account is £8.03. Do you wish to pay the outstanding balance today?
Yes.
Thank you. We are now transferring you to our secure payment system to collect £8.03. Please enter your 16-digit debit or credit card number. Please enter your card's expiration date, 2 digits for the month and 2 digits for the year. For example, 0411. Please enter your card's security code. It is the last 3 digits on the back of your card. This may be 4 digits long on certain cards. Thank you. Please wait whilst we process your payment of 8.3. Thank you for your payment. Your payment was successfully processed. The updated balance on your account is now 74.7. Thank you, Nick. To check your balance, press 1.
So there you go. And now hopefully if I update this screen, we should see that payment come in. And there it is, the payment of £8.30 there. Okay. So there's a fully automated payment IVR using a bot using DTMF or speech. Yeah, that's hooked up to Stripe on this occasion, but obviously it can be hooked into the APIs of most merchant providers. And obviously all fully PCI compliant, hosted in our PCI environment. So bear with me 1 second. So to summarize who Hostcom are, we've been going set up in 2004, got 16 years of experience, over 400 clients, and that's a variety of contact center, hosted PBX, SIP trunk, chatbot clients, voice bot clients, obviously. We offer a UK-based support. We've got an office based in Leicester full of engineers, and we're a PCI DSS level 1 service provider. So here's the Hostcom contact details. So should you wish to discuss any of the things that you've seen in this webinar today, feel free to get in touch with us via email or phone. And if you've got any questions for me, feel free to ask now, and I will do my best to answer them. And if I can't answer them, then I'll get back to you via email if you leave your email address, and do it that way. So that concludes the webinar. I'll just hang on a few seconds if anyone wants to tap in any questions. I'll just mute my mic while that's happening, and otherwise, thank you very much for your attention, and hopefully see you on the next webinar.